Welcome, folks. We'll get things started in about a minute. All right. Welcome, folks. We're going to get started. Do a rotate. Excellent. Okay, so welcome everyone. It is day 22 of remote learning. Today's joke is one of my favorites. What is a pirate's favorite letter?
R.
You'd think so, but to me, first love be the sea. Thanks for your help with that. All right. So we had a guest comedian on today. Let's jump into our intro. Happy Friday. Simplify that like button to show your support. Today's featured YouTuber is Mark Rober. He used to work making robots for NASA. And one of his YouTube videos about a glitter bomb for porch pirates went viral. I hope you'll enjoy his channel. Right now, he's actually left his job at NASA and is becoming a math and science teacher, which is pretty cool. He made some videos on YouTube for students stuck at home during quarantine to introduce them to some science concepts. And he just seems like a pretty cool guy. So I hope you'll enjoy his channel. The plan for today's lesson is for us to go over some of the most common or some of the questions that people most commonly had mistakes on in the first two quizzes. So we'll go back through, we'll pick up a few of those. And then today we have our third quiz for you to work on. So that's our plan. Let's get started. All right. So I'm going to give you each of the questions as we go. If you want to, you can go back and open the previous quizzes. In the first quiz, we're going to be doing questions 1, 5, 6, 7, and 10. And in the second quiz, we'll be doing questions 1, 2, 4, and 10. Obviously, depending on the amount of time. But if you go into the day 22 examples document, it has a link to each of the quizzes. So you can see the original questions there. It might make it a little easier for you. So we'll start with 1, 5, and 6 from the first one. So first quiz, question 1. We had this sign for this cupcake shop, and it's shaped like a cupcake. Something like that. This diameter here is 2 meters. This top shape is exactly a half circle. And this bottom shape, we have a height of 0.75 meters. And the length of this side is 1 meter. And we're asked, what is the total area? So that is our goal here. All right. So what I'd like you to do, first of all, see if I can get this tilted the right way. There we go. All right. So what I'd like you to do is to see if you can figure out the area. Well, first let's make a plan and then I'll get you to do one of the steps. So our plan here is we're going to do a half circle area and we're going to do the area of this parallelogram. So a circle has an area of pi r squared. This is half a circle, so we need to divide that by 2. And then we have our parallelogram. Or you may not remember the formula, which is why in the day 22 examples document, there's also a link to the EQAO formula sheet. And you can see that it has, sorry, not a parallelogram, a trapezoid. It has the trapezoid area formula, which is a plus b times the height divided by 2. So half of the circle plus the trapezoid, that is our goal. So I'd like you to go ahead and calculate out what the value, what the area of this half circle is going to be. Once you have an answer for the area of this half circle, just put it into the chat. And I'll give you about a 30-second head start, and then I'll start doing my calculations as well. Jordan, I see your comment there about switching to 10 a.m. streams. It does seem that we have about the same amount of people joining each time. I'm going to try to avoid making more changes. I also had, when it was at 10 a.m., had some people express to me that they far preferred the 1 p.m. stream time. And I've noticed that when we switch back and forth, for the first time, we lost some people. So we were typically getting 13 or 14 people in the stream, and now we're down to 10. So I'm going to try to avoid making more changes. I know that there's some people who can do better with the 10 a.m. time. There's some people who do better with the 1 p.m. time. But I don't want to continue to change it. So I'm going to keep it here. And my apologies if that makes it more difficult for you. I unfortunately can't find any time that works well for everyone. All right, so once you have an area for this half circle, go ahead and type what you got into the chat. Thank you, Owen. See if we can get at least 3 answers in the chat before we continue on. And if you have a different answer than someone else, don't worry about it. Just put the answers in and then we'll talk about them. We'll see if we can sort out what's going on. Thank you. We have a second answer, 4.92 meters squared. Let's see if we can get one more. Cool. Thank you, Adam. All right. So let's take a look here. So we have our circle. What's the radius going to be of this circle? If we look from the middle out to the end, you can go ahead and type that in chat. What do we get for the radius of this circle? Cool. So it looks like we're agreed that the radius is 1. And that's a little bit of a trick, right? Because you might see, oh, 2 meters. Okay, use that as the radius. But 2 meters is actually the diameter. To get the radius, we have to divide the diameter by 2. And that gets us 1 meter. So then we put it into the circle part here. Radius squared, 1 squared is 1. So we have pi times 1 divided by 2. Pi times 1 is 1. And then if we do pi divided by 2, we get about 1.57. And as several of you have noted correctly, that is in meters squared. What questions do you have about that calculation for the circle area, or the half circle area specifically? Give you a few seconds. Let me know in chat. If that's making sense to you, just type a 2 into the chat if you're ready to move on. And otherwise, feel free to type in your question. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. All right, so I'll keep an eye on chat in case someone's typing a question, but that sets us up with an area of 1.57 meters squared for the half circle. Then we can look at the trapezoid. If you look at, thank you, Adam and Alan. If you look at the EQAO formula sheet for the trapezoid, you can see that A is one of the two parallel sides, B is the other one, and H is the distance between them. So here we could use A as this parallel side, B as this one, and H will be the distance between them. So if we put that in here, we get A is 1 meter, B is 2 meters, H is 0.7 meters, and the formula has us divide that by 2. So that's 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 times 0.7 is 2.1, because 3 times 7 would be 21. So we'll get 2.1 divided by 2. 2.1 divided by 2 is 1.05. And so if we do 1.05 plus 1.57, we get 2.62 meters squared. And so that gives us the area of the sign. All right. So as usual, if you have questions, feel free to type them into the chat. And I'm going to get our second question written out here while I'm waiting. So it's question 5 from the first quiz. All right. So this next question is about a soccer league. In the soccer league, a win counts for 2 points, a tie is 1 point, and a loss is 0 points. And we have a team that has 5 wins, 2 ties, and 3 losses. So that's our setup. And then we're told if the team continues to win, tie, and lose in the same ratio, Which of the following values is the best prediction of their point total after 40 games? And we have 4 different options there. So one of the things we want to do is say, okay, how many games are there in total here? And this is often for the trickier proportion questions, we're interested in knowing the total, and it's often not given. So in this case, we're not told the total number of games they've played. We're not told the total number of points they've received so far. And so we need to figure out those things. So games played. Well, 5 games they won, 2 more they tied, so that's 7 games, and 3 more they lost, so that's 10 games. And then we want to know how many points they have so far. So far, they got 2 points for every win. So that's 5 times 2, plus 1 point for every tie. So that's 2 ties times 1 point, plus 0 points for every loss. That's 3 losses times 0 points. And if we calculate that, 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 1 is 12, 3 times 0 is 0. 10 plus 2 times 1 is 12. And then plus 3 times 0, we finish with 12 points. All right, let me get that where you can see it a little better there. Okay. So now we can start to figure out what's going on for the rest of it. So there's 2 different ways to go about this. The most efficient way is to go, we've played 10 games out of 40 games, and we have 12 points out of we don't know how many points. So we just set up a proportion. We have 10 out of 40 games played, 12 out of an unknown number of points earned, and we want those ratios to be the same because they're going to continue to win, lose, and tie in the same ratio. So the ratios need to be the same. So then we can go ahead and solve this. I'm going to use the method where we just flip both sides. So I've done the same thing to both sides, which is flipping it. Another way to think about this is putting it to the power of -1, but we'll talk more about that later. So 40 divided by 10 is 4. We're going to multiply both sides here by 12. So then we'll get 12x, x times 12, divided by 12 times 1 is 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. X is all that's left over there. And we have 48 over here. So that is probably the simplest way to do it. Let me just make sure I'm in view here. Yeah, there we go. And so we know that they should have 48 points at the end of 40 games if they continue to win, lose, and tie in the same ratio they have so far. The other way to do this one is to calculate their number of wins. So we have 5 wins out of 10 games, and we want to know how many wins out of 40 games. And then we know that there were 2 ties out of 10 games, and we want to know how many ties out of 40 games. And so we can solve both of these proportions. This one, I multiply both sides by 40. So I get 40 over 1 times 5 over 10 equals x. And on this side, I'll get 2 over 10 times 40 over 1 equals y. 40 times 5 is 200. 200 divided by 10 is 20. 2 times 40 is 80. Divided by 10 is 8. So we're going to get 20 wins and 8 ties. Therefore, their points will be 20 wins times 2 points per win plus 8 ties times 1 point per tie equals 48 points in total. All right, so you can do it whichever of those ways you like. There are definitely other ways as well. But the key here is that we definitely need to know games played, that it's 10. That's really important. You can see here we used it and here we used it as well. So no matter which of these methods you use, you need games played. And for this method, we also need to know the number of points so far is 12, so we can use it in there. All right, give me a 1 in the chat if that's making sense. And if you have a question, now would be a great time to ask it. Thanks, Owen. Oh, that was fast. It seems like our lag time may be shorter than usual today. Thank you, Nina. See if we can get one more 1 in the chat. How many more EQAO tests will there be? There's one today, Adam. And then after that, we're going to go back to some lessons. And towards the end of June, we'll probably do a little bit more review of these types of questions. All right. Thank you, Adam. Okay. So then let's move on to the next question. I want to get minimum 3 of these done today. We might even have time to get 4 of them done. So our next one up is question 6. And we're asked to imagine the graph for the relation 4x minus 5y plus 20 equals 0, and to find out what is the slope. You are most welcome to sub in an x value, solve for the y value, do that a couple times to get at least 2 points, but 3 would be even better. And then plot those points on the graph and look at the slope. That's one way to do it. Or you could then take those 2 points and calculate the slope. That's a second way to do it. We're going to do this the fastest way, which is we are going to take this equation and we are going to rearrange to slope-intercept form, also known as y equals mx plus b. Oh, and we are blurry. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Jordan. See if I can fix that up here. Nope, still blurry. Go autofocus. Hey, there we go. Okay. So we're given this equation here, and we're asked to imagine the linear relation it represents and find the slope of that relation. So we could graph this, we can get points out of this and use 2 points to calculate the slope. But I think the easiest way is to just rearrange it to y equals mx plus b form, to slope-intercept form. And then we can see what the slope is because we'll know what number m is. So I'm just going to add 5y to both sides of this. Since it's an equation, if I add the same thing on both sides, it stays equal. Now I've got negative 5y plus 5y, which adds to 0. So over here I have 4x plus 20. 0 plus 5y, that's just 5y. And now I want y equals mx plus b, so I need to get rid of this 5. So I'm going to do that by dividing both sides by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times y is y. Here we have 4 over 5 times x plus 20 divided by 5, that's 4. So there's our equation. We could write it with the y in front. Just swap everything over, and then you can see it's y equals mx plus b form. And therefore, our slope is 4/5. All right, so hopefully that's making sense. That's a question I think we have a pretty good sense now of how to rearrange. It's just maybe recognizing that that's what we need to do. All right, so I'll take questions, and in the meantime, I'll also get our next question set up. All right. So I'm not seeing any questions so far. Oh, yeah. Later on stream, any chance you can check the email that you sent? Yes, I can try and do that for you, Jackson. I'm assuming that's a recent email because I was looking just before the stream and I don't think I had anything from you at that point. So, but I will take a look. Okay. So we want to simplify this. We have some exponent laws that we can do. I'm going to show it to you with exponent laws because that's the fastest way. And then we can talk about what you could do if you didn't remember the exponent laws. So the first exponent law is that, well, let's go with the preliminary of exponents, which is that if you have y or any variable with no exponent, the actual invisible exponent is 1. It's tempting to think that it might be 0 because there's nothing there. But y to the power of 1 just means y times itself, but only one of them, which is y, right? Like 5 to the power of 1 is 5, y to the power of 1 is y. Okay, so now we have power of a power. We can't do this multiplication because the bases are different. And remember, all of our exponent laws only work if the bases are the same. So we can't go ahead and combine the x and the y parts. We have to deal with them separately. So x squared all to the power of 3. Well, when we have a power of a power, we multiply the exponents. And same thing, y all to the power of 3. That's 1 times 3, which is not surprising, right? If it was just plain old y to the power of 3 would be y to the power of 3. And in the base, we can do the same thing. So we have x to the power of 2, y to the power of 2 coming through from that base. And then 2 times 3 is 6, so we get x to the 6. 1 times 3 is 3 over x squared, y squared. And now we have a division, x to the 6 divided by x squared. And you might recall that our law for division is that we subtract the exponents. So we'll get x to the 6 minus 4 and y to the 3 minus 2. And then our final answer from all of that will be x to the, well, 6 minus 4. That is 2. 3 minus 2, that is 1. So we just get x squared y. Oh, sorry, I miswrote something. This shouldn't be 6 minus 4. It should be 6 minus 2. I was thinking ahead to the answer. So that's going to give us x to the power of 4 y as our solution. Okay, give me a 1 in chat if that's making sense to you. And if you have a question, feel free to type it in. Thank you, Owen, Nina, and Jordan. Okay, so a quick reminder, if you don't recall what the rules are for exponents, you still have a way to do this question. So we have x squared y all to the power of 3. I'm just going to do the numerator to save us some time because I want to make sure we get in at least one more question. And I do have to be done by about 1:45 because I'm meeting some of my grade 12 students at 2 p.m. So for this numerator here, power of 3 literally means times itself 3 times. So without using any laws, if we just know what the definition of an exponent is, that it means multiply this by itself this many times, we can do that. And then we know with multiplication, order doesn't matter. So we can put stuff next to itself. So we have x squared times x squared times x squared. So we'll move the x squareds up to the front, and y times y times y. We'll move the y's to the end. And that is going to give us, well, the y's, there's 3 of them all multiplied together. So that's y to the power of 3. The x's, well, x squared, that means 2 x's. The next x squared also means 2 x's. And the next x squared also means 2 x's. And so then I have, let's keep this on the screen. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's. So x to the 6, y to the 3. So that's my numerator, x to the 6, y to the 3. So you can see right here that without remembering what the exponent laws are, I can still just use the definition of an exponent and knowing that multiplications can be done in any order to get myself this value here. It's not as fast, but oftentimes I see students and they just forget one piece of something and then they think, oh, well, I can't do the question. It's worth seeing if your other knowledge will let you get to the answer. It might be a little slower, but you can often still get there. Okay. So next up, we're going to look at the last question from quiz 1, which is question 10, or our last question, I guess. There is another question on the quiz, but this is the last one we're going to look at from it. So Juan would like to order some stationary items from a catalog. He can spend up to $15, but not more. So maximum $15. We want to know which group of items, including 15% tax, can he afford to buy. And so each of the items there is listed with a price, and we're told that after the price, we need to put 15% tax on the items. So this is a question where you just kind of have to try out the different answers. There's not really a good way to figure out the right answer. You need to look at the 4 possibilities they list. So the first possibility, price 1, is 1 binder. And I look and I see the price for a binder is $3.13. 1 stapler, which is $6.49, and 3 steel clips. So that's 3 times $1.51 for each steel clip. And if we go ahead and calculate that, 3 times 151 is 453. Plus 649 plus 313, and we get $14.15. And then we need to get the final price for this first set of items. And it is going to be $14.15 times, or we need to add 15% tax. So we're going to do times 1.15. So that's 1 for 100% price, 0.15 for the 15% tax. So this is going to give us the total price, including the tax, not the tax alone, but the whole thing. So 14.15 times 1.15 equals, and we see we get 16.27, which is too expensive. We're only allowed to spend $15, so this one's not going to work. So then we can go ahead and, and you can't see that. Sorry about that. So then our final price here, we figured out the cost of everything was $14.15. Final price, including tax, we have to multiply by 1.15, and we get 16.27. So for our second set of items, we have 2 steel clips. So each steel clip is $1.51, multiplied by 2 because there's 2 of them. 2 binders, and 2 notebooks. Notebooks are $1.96 multiplied by 2. And here we can do something a little sneaky. I'm going to do 1 clip plus 1 binder plus 1 notebook is $6.60 times 2, $13.20. Since I knew there were 2 of each of them, I could just do them all together and then multiply by 2. And then to get the final price for set 2, we have to do $13.20 times 1.15. Let's try it out. $13.20 times 1.15, and we get $15.18. just a little bit too much. All right, so let's check the next one. Price 3. So the price for package 3 is one binder, which is $3.13, one glue stick, $2.39, and two mechanical pencils, 2 times 4.28. And if we put that all together, 2 times 4.28 is 856 plus 2.39 equals 1095 plus 3.13 equals 1408. All right. At this point, we can save ourselves a little bit of time. And the reason we can do that is that we already know that if the package cost was $13.20, once we added tax for the final cost, it would be over $15. This package cost is even higher. So the final cost for this is going to be greater than $15. And we already know that. We don't have to calculate what it is. There's no way that a higher price is going to end up lower after tax. It's going to end up higher after tax, which is going to be too high. So package 4. Now you might think, hey, there's only 4 answers. I know the first 3 are not correct. It's got to be the 4th one. That's pretty reasonable, but if you've made a mistake somewhere, or if the person writing the question has made a mistake somewhere, then that might not be true. So you want to make sure that you do a check of it. So we have a notebook, which is $1.96. We have a stapler, which is $6.49. We have a mechanical pencil, which is $4.28. And if we put these all together, 1.96 plus 6.49 plus 4.28, we end, whoa, I clearly missed a decimal somewhere there. 1.96, oh, that's where I missed the decimal, 0.96 plus 6.49 plus 4.28, and we get 1273. And therefore, our final price for this package is $12.73 times 1.15. So $12.73 times 1.15 is $14.64. And so that last package does come in under $15. All right. Oop, and I'm off the screen there. Okay. So I think we have time to do one question from the second quiz. I'm going to do question 1. It's a nice tricky one, and we'll finish off today with this question. If you have anything you want to ask about any of the stuff we've done so far, feel free to type it in chat. I'll try and keep an eye there for you, and please let me know what your questions are. Okay, so our last one here, we have a square and an equilateral triangle. So square, all the sides are the same length. Equilateral triangle, all its sides are the same length. We're told that the side of the square is 5x plus 3. And the side of the triangle is 7x minus 1. We don't know what x is, but we're told that the perimeter of the square and the perimeter of the triangle are the same. So perimeter of the square and it has the same perimeter as the triangle. Well, perimeter of the square is 4 times the side length. Perimeter of the triangle, it's an equilateral triangle, so it's going to be 3 times the side length of the triangle. The side length of the square is 5x plus 3. The side length of the triangle is 7x minus 1. And so now we're down to an equation. It's got some distributive property, but if we solve this, we can find the value of x, and that's what the question's asking us. So let's go ahead and distribute. 4 times 5x, well, 4 times 5 is 20. And since there's an x there, we keep the x. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 7x is 21x. 3 times -1 is -3. I'm going to bring the x's to the right side just because I have a bigger number there, which makes it a little easier. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides of this equation. Minus 3 plus 3 gives me 0. So all I have left over here is 21x. And on this side, I get 20x. 12 plus 3, that's 15. And now I'm going to subtract 20x on both sides. So I can get all the x's on this right side. 20x minus 20x is 0. All that's left over here is 15. 21 x's, take away 20 x's, leaves me with just a single x. And so I can see that x has to have a value of 15. All right. So give me a 2 in chat if the stuff we've talked about today has made sense to you. If you have questions, feel free to put them in there. And Jackson and I will take a look after the stream and see your email. Thanks, Owen. Thank you, Nina. Thanks, Sabrina. Thank you, Jordan. All right, folks. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that you've had a good day. Have yourself a most excellent weekend. Starting on Monday, we'll be learning some brand new things. We're done now with the review. I may occasionally go back to one of the quizzes and pick up one of these questions. Maybe at the start of each lesson, I'll try to do just one. And then the rest of the lesson will be devoted to new material, things we haven't learned yet. So I hope that you've enjoyed that. Have yourselves a great weekend. Big thanks to my sponsor, Waterloo Region District School Board. Check out my Patreon and enjoy your weekend.